Hi, this is Arthur, and this is a summary of the world quest, the Dirge of Bilqis from Genshin Impact version 3.4. The events of this quest take place after the events of the Golden Slumber questline. Jet has sent a letter to the Traveler through the Adventurers Guild asking for help in the desert. Jet asks the Traveler to head to the camp of the Tanit tribe, so they head over. The Tanit tribe is where Jabrael, Jet's father, came from. Once there, they meet Babel, the matriarch of the tribe. They chat a bit before Jet arrives and head off to do some errands. During the errands, Jet explains that after the events of the Golden Slumber, Jet came here and was living with the tribe. As to why she contacted the Traveler, Jet wants to bring her father and mother's remains to a place called the Eternal Oasis. The Eternal Oasis is usually taboo for members of the tribe, but since Jet is half outsider, Babel has granted her permission to go. Finding the Eternal Oasis may benefit the tribe in some way, so there's that too. Jet and the Traveler then head to the ruins of Gurubad to find a Jinni that can guide them. A side note, Jinni are singular and Jinn are plural, so references to the Jinn are generally references to their entire race. When they get to Gurubad, they meet Azarik, another member of the tribe sent to guide them. They explore the ruins, and Jet explains that the Jinn were familiars to the creator of the Eternal Oasis and are needed to break the seals protecting that place. They get through the ruins and reach even more ruins. Azarik leaves since he is not permitted to go further, and Jet and the Traveler keep going. They eventually find Lilupar, a fragment of the mother of the Jinn. Jet recognizes the name as a famous Jinni who killed Ormazd, the king of Gurubad, and his entire household. Lilupar then shows a strange affection for the Traveler and decides to give the Traveler her true name, which forms a binding pact between them. As they're leaving the ruins, a messenger arrives and sends Jet to go meet with Babel. After Jet leaves, a group of Eremites attack. After beating them, the Traveler finds a note showing that these Eremites were hired to kill them. The Traveler makes it back to camp and shows Babel the note. Babel recognizes the handwriting as Adurfis, another member of the tribe. Adurfi has fled, but Babel assures the Traveler that she will take care of him. Babel then speaks with Lilupar and asks for her help. Lilupar does not like Babel. However, Lilupar agrees to help find the Eternal Oasis because the Traveler wants to find it. Jet and Azarik return and they spend some time all hanging out together. During this time, Lilupar expresses distrust of Azarik, but will go along with the Traveler. Lilupar also tells a story about the Jinn. Thousands of years ago, the Jinn were servants of the Mistress of Flowers. Disaster soon struck and the Mistress of Flowers departed. Al-Akmar then lied to the Jinn and said that they could find the Mistress of Flowers if they gave him their true names and bound themselves to him. They did so, and he imprisoned them in bottles and bound them in servitude. The story ends with Lilupar falling in love with the shepherd who was Lilupar's former master. Lilupar also mentions that she has her own reasons to want to enter the Eternal Oasis. The next day they speak to Babel, who says that the rise of traitors likely relates to the Fatui. Babel also provides information on the location of Lilupar's other fragments which they need to enter the Eternal Oasis. The group then heads underground towards Mount Damavan to look for Lilupar's other fragments. Along the way, the group finds some abandoned Tanit camps, likely meaning that Babel must have sent others to find the oasis. They make their way through various ruins until they find one of Lilupar's other fragments. As Lilupar absorbs her fragment, the Traveler receives one of her memories where she is looking at a dancing maiden and a shepherd with intense feelings of hatred followed by love. The group travels on and finds a mechanism known as the Goblet of Al-Akmar that protects the Eternal Oasis. Lilupar then successfully disables the first of the 3 protective seals. They return to the surface and run into Azarik and set up camp for the night. At camp, Lilupar tells another story about a Jinni who fell in love and had children with a mortal king. The ambitious king then became a tyrant and betrayed the Jinni's love. The Jinni then sets up a plan that ultimately destroys the king, the kingdom, and even their children. A side note, this story and Lilupar's memories likely describe Lilupar's romance and murder of King Ormazd. The next day, Azarik takes them to a giant ruin guard and they activate it. Jet is suspicious that Azarik knows so much about how to control a giant ruin guard. They then use the giant ruin guard to move towards the fragment and punch a tunnel into the ground. They travel underground through more ruins and Lilupar decides to dump some more lore. She tells them that the Mistress of Flowers sleeps within the Eternal Oasis and Gurubad was charged by the 3 Eternal Companion Gods to guard it. A side note, the 3 Eternal Companion Gods likely refer to Al-Akmar, the Mistress of Flowers, and the former Dendro Archon Greater Lord Rukkhadevata. Furthermore, the Mistress of Flowers loved by the Jinn, the Goddess of Flowers celebrated by the Sabzeres Festival, and Nabu Malikata, the god worshipped by the Tanit tribe, are all likely the same deity. The group travels on and eventually finds the fragment, and the Traveler receives another of Lilupar's memories. The memories of the shepherd boy eating a pomegranate. The pomegranate seems to be an allegory for blood and represents King Ormazd's thirst for power. They travel further and reach the goblet again, unlocking the second seal. They return to the giant ruin guard and move towards the third and final fragment and use the ruin guard to blast out a tunnel. Before they exit the giant ruin guard, Azarik asks the Traveler to hand over Lilupar. Lilupar reminds Azarik that only death can sever her bond with the Traveler. Jet then accuses Ozuric of being a traitor, that the knowledge he had on the giant ruin guard came from the Fatui and of trying to kill the Traveler. Jet tells Ozuric to pick up his weapons and they fight. Ozuric also has some allies that pop out of nowhere and they join in. The group beats Ozuric and his allies. As Ozuric lays on the ground, he tries to talk his way out of it. Jet then kills him. The giant ruin guard then begins to collapse and the group escapes. Outside, Adurfi and some Fatui approach them. The Traveler and Jet defeat them and find a note from Ozuric to Adurfi. The note details Ozuric's plan to kill the Traveler, marry Jet, take control of the tribe, and likely kill Babel as well. In exchange for the Fatui's cooperation, Ozuric would allow trade with them, while Adurfi would act as the tribe's proxy. Instead of returning to Babel with this news, the group decides to head down to the Eternal Oasis first. They head down and find the fragment which shows the Traveler another memory. This memory is of Lilupar's scheme and poisoning of her former lover and all of their children. Lilupar explains that King Ormaz's ambition turned him into a tyrant and warranted vengeance upon him and even their children. Afterwards, they head down and unlock the final seal. They head towards the Goblet of Ahakmar and are met with another Jinni named Ferrages. Lilupar asks to enter the Eternal Oasis to see the slumbering Mistress of Flowers. Ferrages calls Lilupar a traitor, the destroyer of Gurabad, and the mother of the despicable, forbidding her entrance. Some machines then attack and they all fight. They defeat the enemies and break Ferrages' container, killing her. They travel on and finally enter the Eternal Oasis. The oasis is beautiful, but frozen in time by the Mistress of Flowers. Lilupar looks for her mistress, but she is not there. Lilupar instead finds another fragment of herself. After absorbing the fragment, the traveler is shown another memory and an allegory of the Mistress of Flowers. Lilupar explains that Al-Ahmar, the Lord of the Sands, told the Jinn that the Mistress of Flowers slept here and would awaken someday. Now that Lilupar has confirmed this to be a lie, she feels free of the emotions that bound her in the past, though she remains happily bound to the Traveler. Lilupar also mentions that now that Ferrages was released, the power of freezing time here will erode and time will start moving normally again. Jet then finds a place to set down her father's axe and her mother's notebook and takes a moment to sit with her deceased parents. After some time, the group heads back and reports to Babel. Jet reveals that Babel warned her of Ozuric before and has long suspected his betrayal. Babel also reveals that she has sent many members to find the Eternal Oasis in the past, but since most didn't return, she made it a forbidden place. Babel also permitted trade with the Fatui, but when she realized the dangers they pose, she forbade that too. And that is the end of this quest in this video. If you've liked what you've seen here, please like, comment, and subscribe.